Hey, what's up, Denverites? This is Chad Nash, aka the Real Estate Doctor, and are you wondering if 2025 is going to be the year that you can purchase that mile-high mansion, or are you going to be sleeping next to the Platte River? Don't worry. Today we're going to look into my crystal ball, and by crystal ball I mean nerding out over the data that I've already researched for you, and we're going to break it all down for you. We're going to look at the house prices for 2025, see if you got a realistic chance to get into ownership here in the Denver market. Are you ready? Let's go. Okay, before we talk about some of the predictions, let's look at where we're coming from in 2024. So 2024 was definitely a roller coaster for home buyers in the Denver metro area. We saw higher interest rates, we saw higher inventory, but guess what? We still saw bidding wars if the sellers were realistic and they priced their home correctly and accordingly. The median home price, well, it was about $600,000, give or take, but I'm not talking about those HGTV ready-made remodeled kitchen homes. I'm just talking about your standard first-time home buying, second-time home buying home in Denver, Aurora, Centennial, Parker. $600,000, that was kind of the entry point. All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty of what factors are going to drive 2025. So experts are not predicting that it's going to be the same roller coaster as 2024. In fact, we're going to see home prices rise about 3 to 5%. There's quite a few factors that's going to keep the Denver market strong. Let's cover a few of those now. Population growth. The Denver dream is not yet dying. I know we've gone through a couple of rough years. In fact, pre-pandemic, Denver was one of the coolest cities to move to, and it ranked as one of the most attractive cities to move to for out-of-state buyers. Well, guess what? Denver still has that appeal that made it one of the most attractive cities pre-pandemic. We have a very robust job market. There's a lot of industries that are still moving to Denver. Major employers in industries such as tech, aerospace, and healthcare continue to migrate to Denver, making it attractive for the workers that work within those industries and workers who are seeking to break through into those industries. In fact, the population census is predicting that Denver will still continue to grow steadily in 2025, which inevitably is going to bring more demand for housing and is going to make the real estate market even tougher to get into. More people looking for homes means upward pressure on home prices. Speaking of economics, which happens to be my favorite subject, inventory remains scarce across the city. While builders are trying to keep up, we see labor shortages, higher cost of construction, and there's a lot of zoning going on in and around Denver that makes the builder's job harder in trying to keep up inventory for the Denver market. What does that mean for 2025? Well, even with inventory rising, inventory is still going to remain tight. And like you learned in your Econ 101 class, when supply cannot meet demand, prices will either remain the same or they'll climb. Homeowners are also staying put, which makes things a bit more tricky. Remember those 2 and 3% interest rates that we saw during COVID? Why on earth would any homeowner want to give that up? Thus, inventory becomes even more tighter because we typically see a flow of sellers entering into the market, but a lot of those sellers are staying on the fence just to protect our interest rates, and that makes it much more tougher for buyers who are looking to buy a home because inventory is now limited. So yes, while the market has cooled quite a bit since 2020 and 2021 and 2022, I don't expect to see a ton of homes flood in the market because a lot of sellers are sitting on the sideline. And overall, the Denver market continues to have strong economic stability. What are we known best for? Tourism. Our mountains, we get a lot of skiers, we have some of the best summers, and people are still attracted to what we call the Mile High City. So we're seeing an abundance of economic stability and growth because of those factors. Also, we can't forget about the cannabis industry. That has been a boom for Denver, and it has helped with a lot of tax revenue, and it helps to keep our economy stable. Why am I talking about this economic stability? Well, the stronger an economy is locally, the more likely you're going to have home buyers who invest within the economy and they want to stay put. And that's going to manufacture an even higher demand for home buying on the micro level. So in short, even while interest rates are still rising, the strong economic viability of Denver is keeping the housing market strong along with low inventory. So what does that mean for you as a buyer in the real estate market? Well, next we're going to talk about strategy so that you understand how to navigate the Denver real estate market like a pro here in 2025. Whether you're thinking about purchasing your first home or you're looking to upgrade to your second home, buying in the Denver market in 2025, well, it's going to require some patience, some strategy, and even a little bit of creativity. Here's what you need to know. The projected rise in home prices or home values for 2025 is going to be about 3 to 5%. So yes, it is much lower than what we've seen in the past, where appreciation in home values have been anywhere from 8% to double digits, but it's still enough to impact affordability. If you're serious about buying a home in the Denver market in 2025, think about starting the search sooner. Locking in a price earlier in the year before we see appreciation hit throughout the year can actually save you thousands of dollars in the long run, because you may get a cheaper price on a home compared to if you wait until the end of the year. Affordability will be challenging, but it's not impossible. With interest rates expected to hover between 6 and 7%, yes, you're going to have higher mortgage payments than those folks who bought a home back in 2020, 2021 and have 2% or 3% interest rates on their mortgage payments. The Denver real estate market in 2025 is shaping up to be much more buyer friendly than in previous years past. For example, homes will stand on the market much more longer and buyers have much more negotiating power, which is a stark difference to the bidding wars of the past where buyers had absolutely no power at all. Why is this important? Well, now buyers actually have time to breathe. They don't feel so rushed in making a decision. Remember those buyers that I told you about buying a home back in 2020 and 2021 who had those low interest rates? Well, a lot of those buyers had to rush and buy, and they also had to waive a lot of contingencies. Buyers now in 2025 can actually take a moment. They can actually see the house, inspect the house. They can negotiate a fair deal structure and feel much more comfortable in this market in 2025. Negotiation is back on the table. So that's the word that we want to hear in real estate, the big N word, negotiation. So versus years past, as I talked about those bidding wars, now buyers can negotiate, and there's a lot of cool strategies that they can employ to get the best deal that works for them. For instance, instead of just negotiating on price now, we can also negotiate on what we call seller credits or seller concessions. What are seller concessions and what can they be used for? They can cover all or a portion of your closing costs, meaning that you have to bring less money to the closing table when it's time to buy your new home. Remember I talked about those high interest rates? Well, guess what? Now sellers are willing to help buy down those interest rates through seller concessions or credits and what we call an interest rate buy down. Now, if you don't know what those are, reach out to your local lender, or I'll shoot a video on the topic here in the near future. But just know this is a great benefit to you as a buyer. Also, if you find a home that needs a little bit of cosmetic work, well, use a seller concession or a credit to put more money back into your pocket up front. It decreases the cash to close up front, meaning that you can use that credit to maybe paint a couple of rooms, get new carpet, hardwood floors, 100-inch TVs, whatever it may be. You can use that seller concession to help improve your home up front. Now, let me give you a real world example of how a seller concession or credit can help. Let's say you have a home that's priced at $600,000. It's been sitting on the market quite a while. Well, your first inclination might be to offer $580,000 or $590,000 because you want to be under the asking price. But maybe you ask $590,000 for the home. That's going to impact your payment, and you ask for an additional $10,000 credit. So overall, you're getting the home for about a $580,000 value. You can use $10,000 to buy down your interest rate even further to impact the mortgage payment or some of those other things such as upgrades, or if you want to bring less money to the closing table, you can contribute that $10,000 to your closing cost. Remember, in 2025, buyers are going to have to be creative and flexible. There's a lot of ways to negotiate on a home. Price isn't the only thing. Let's think about concessions as well. Let's explore some up and coming areas. Yes, I know everybody wants to live in Wash Park, Platt Park, Cherry Creek. I get it. I do too. I still can't afford it. But guess what? There are some awesome suburbs in and around the greater Denver metro area that are very up and coming and have a lot of great amenities. Let's think about areas such as Lakewood, Thornton, Centennial, or even further out areas such as Parker and Castle Rock, which might give you more space and more land at the same price as if you were trying to live in urban Denver. A lot of these areas have a lot of new build development, and these new build developments come with a lower price tag with a brand new home. This makes these areas a great option for home buyers who are looking to prioritize affordability and not sacrifice quality of life. Be prepared for competition, folks, but do not panic. So unlike some of the pre-pandemic years, again, we're not seeing the major bidding wars, but it is still competitive. As we talked about, Denver remains a very desirable city. What is one strategy that you can employ to beat the competition? Preparation. Get pre-approved up front. I tell my clients this up front. I understand that you want to scroll and look at Zillow homes at 2 o'clock in the morning, and then you want to go see that one home that happens to pop up that you absolutely love. Well, guess what? Nothing is going to happen if you don't have a boatload of cash or you're not pre-approved. So being pre-approved up front can actually take out a lot of stress, and you can be ready for the competition because you can act fast and you don't have to wait for that process to happen on the back end and possibly lose your dream home. Work with the knowledgeable agent. I know what you're about to say. Chad's about to promote himself. Yep, I shamelessly am. I'm a knowledgeable agent. But if you choose not to work with me, make sure you work with the knowledgeable buyer's agent that has a firm understanding about the entire greater Denver metro area and some of the hidden gems and opportunities that are out there. Act decisively. Now, I know I talked a lot about in this video that it's becoming more of a psychological buyer's market, but you can't just sit there and drag your feet. If you find that dream home and you're pre-approved and you're ready to go, don't say, we're gonna sit on this for about another month, because that home will be gone. It will be snatched up quickly. So act decisively, be prepared, make sure you put yourself in a position to get that dream home that you want and you deserve. Think long term. Remember, real estate is like any asset and investment. You're gonna have your ebbs and flows. You're gonna see peaks and valleys within the market. Yes, the Denver market is not as high as it used to be, and it's not as hot as it used to be, but it's still hot. We may be in a small valley, but I promise you it's gonna shoot back up in the future. So if you're a home buyer, think about staying in that home 3, 5, 10 years and the number of cyclical markets that you're gonna experience. I guarantee you, you're gonna make that equity back at some point, even as we experience this roller coaster of a market. Buying in 2025 is not about outsmarting or outfoxing the market. It's impossible to do that. What I need you to focus on is finding a home that fits you, that you can grow into, and that's gonna serve your immediate needs and long-term needs as well. All right, folks, that's my 2025 Denver home crystal ball reading. What's the big takeaway here? Well, if you're thinking about selling, you're probably still sitting on a gold mine based on the equity that you've accumulated over the past 5 or 10 years. And if you're here to just fantasize about living in Cherry Creek or Cherry Hills, hey, no judgment, that's on you. But before you go, please make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and notifications button below. My content is much cheaper and much more fun than any down payment that you're gonna experience within the Denver real estate market. See you guys next time. And remember, the mountains here are free, but the housing, not so much. Check out my comment section below where I provide my home buyer and home seller guides for free. Go ahead and download them. Hope they're of use. Hope to talk to you guys soon.